Hey guys, we are in Ezekiel 46 through 48. So we're finishing the book of Ezekiel today, and it's finishing strong. It's just getting good, which is awesome. I love how scripture always has these amazing endings to each of their books. So verse 11, so it's going through how people are to enter into the temple. And one of the things it says in verse 11 is that they should, whatever door they go into, they have to move out a different door. So you see this, if you enter in through the north, you're going out the south. And if you enter in through the south, you're going out the north. And it's just this picture we see of going one way, of going forward, this forward momentum, which I think is kind of cool. And then in verse 10, it says that, when they enter, the prince shall enter with them. And when they go out, he shall go out. And remember yesterday we were talking about Jesus as the prince. So I just thought that was the kind of cool imagery of like, he goes with us before us. So he goes like with us to the Father. And when we go out, like he's always with us, which I just thought was kind of a cool visual. And then verse 13, where is that at? It says, you shall provide a lamb 1 year old with the blemish to the Lord daily. Morning by morning, you shall provide it. There we go. This every single day, a sacrifice to the Lord. And it reminded me of when I first started doing Bible in a year. I had a friend, I was like, there's no way I can do it. I have so many kids. I have so many things. There's just like, how in the world could I even do that? And a girlfriend of mine gave me amazing advice. She's like, if you listen to it, it counts, Anna. Like, you don't have to read every single word for it to count. And we have to kind of get over that, right? We sometimes think it has to look a certain way, and we set ourselves up for failure to not even start because we're like, it has to look a certain way, right? Like, we'll do that with a workout routine or a diet. We're like, all right, hitting it hard, and we'll change our whole diet. And then when we fail, we're like, I just couldn't do it. It's like, well, you had poor expectations. You had all these things that you were putting rather than like baby steps, right? And so she reminded me that you don't have to read every single word. You can listen to it. That's good too. And you can start there. And so what I would do is I'd listen on Audible, the Old Testament, because it's a lot harder with all those word pronunciations. I'm dyslexic, so those word pronunciations are like horrible for me, and it'd be so hard to even get through a paragraph. And it's like, oh my gosh, a whole huge chunk of this, because the Old Testament's like, I think it's 3/4 of the book. I think it's like 70. I think I read it was 77%. It's 77% of the Bible. So those who are like, why are we in Old Testament? The year's almost over. It's because it's 77% of the Bible. So majority is Old Testament. So I would listen to it all throughout the day. Like when I was folding laundry or when I would go pick up the kids from school, I'd put it on in the car. And then I would read a chapter in the New Testament every single night. And what I noticed, the beauty that was in listening was that I kind of got this overarching view of some of the really hard books like Leviticus. When you go through like the blood on the horn and the blood running down, it's just like, what am I reading, right? Like what is the purpose of this being in here? Like, why would God even want this in here? It doesn't pertain to me. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with today's culture. Like, why would I even want to read that? But I want all of God's words to be good. I want them all. He breathes it out. He said it was on purpose that he put it in here. So I want to find out why he has it so I can love it too. And what I found out when I was reading through stuff like Leviticus, this overarching picture, for instance, and I'm going with Leviticus only because that's kind of what we're in right now, right? These sacrifices, is that these sacrifices, all the things they had to do when Jesus came was done. When he came and he died and he rose again, it was done. So every single day they had to make these sacrifices. And then Jesus came and it was done. They didn't have to offer anything ever again. Guys, think of how time consuming this was. That when you're making your flock, you're having to think, okay, where's that blemish, the one without blemish, because I got to set him aside. Because every single day we have to do this. And every day I have to prepare this lamb. And every day you know how that is. Like when you have this long routine, like school days, right? As a mom, when you have school days and you're like packing the lunch and getting them ready in the morning and getting the hair done and getting the breakfast and cleaning up breakfast so you can get out the door. And then the summer hits and it's like, oh my gosh, I have a life again. Like that's what it was like. So Jesus, not only think of how huge that was to them, how for us, he takes away our old life and gives us a new life. But for them, like how huge this was, that this huge portion of their day, there's this huge portion of their focus, Jesus was lifting that off of them, lifting that off and truly giving them like a brand new life. It was just like, how much freedom that had to feel, guys. How cool is that? So it made me think of that because it was talking about day to day, every day doing this. And I'm like, wow, Jesus came and paid that. And like, wow. Okay. Chapter 47 now. So chapter 47, we see this water that's running out of the temple, that this water, it says from the east, which remember the east was this new beginning and forgiveness. So like pin that in your mind. It's super cool. From the east and enters into the salty sea. So this water that's undrinkable, it enters in this new beginning, this forgiveness water enters into a salty sea and it becomes something different. It becomes fresh water, guys. That's what you're seeing here in this section. This verse 8 is the start of it. This flow of water towards the eastern region and goes down and enters into the sea, and the water flows into the sea, and the water will become fresh. It becomes fresh, completely new. Like, guys, how cool is this? And it kicks off this parable about Jesus, right? That he is this living water, and everyone who comes to Christ lives, right? This Jews and Gentiles. Verse 9 says this. It says, and wherever the river goes, every living creature that swarms will live, and there will be many fish. For this water goes there, and that the waters of the sea may become fresh. So everything will live where the river goes. Guys, how good is that? That's Jesus, this living water that wherever he goes, there is life. You will live. I love that so much. And then in verse 12, when Christ flows through us, actually, let me read it first. And on the bank, on both sides of the river, there will grow all kinds of trees for food. Their leaves will not wither, and their fruit fail. But they will bear fresh fruit every month, because the water for them flows from the sanctuary. Their fruit will be food, and their leaves for healing. Guys, when Jesus flows through us, we bear this great fruit, not because of our ability, not just because we're a tree and we can do that. It is not because of that. It is because we are planted by the water of the temple, that Jesus flows through us, and you're bearing fruit, right? That you're bearing fruit because it's flowing from Christ. As Christians, our lives should bear fruit in the sense of it saying here of for food and for healing, that it should be food, it should be nourishment for others, it should be a healing for others, and it should pull people in, right? That we are bearing fruit because we are living by the water that Jesus flows through us, this fresh water that produces fruit in us, that goes out and feeds and nourishes and heals others, pulling them into Christ. You see how that works? You see how this is the Christian life? It's super beautiful. And then here, this last thing I'm going to give in chapter 47 before we move on to 48 is this super cool 23. I'm looking for it so I can read it to you guys because I was blown away. Or it would have been 24. Yeah, 24. Sorry, 24. It is talking about the sojourner getting some of the inheritance. So God's about to divide up borders, and he gives an inheritance. It says, oh no, it is 23. In whatever tribe the sojourner resides, there you shall assign him his inheritance, declares the Lord. Old law, like old covenant that God made, he divided borders among the Jews themselves, only the 12 tribes of Israel. So remember, the Levites didn't get any because their portion was the Lord, and Joseph got 2 portions, Ephraim and Manasseh, remember? So it was 12 divided up. This time, God says that whatever tribe the sojourners reside, there you shall assign him his inheritance, him himself. So the sojourner is the word in Hebrew is ger. And it means foreigner, but not as in a traveler who's passing through, but it's a non-Israelite who's living alongside them and is taking up their ways of life and their worship. So God gives them an inheritance. We see here that God includes them. He's grafting them in to his inheritance. Guys, do you see this? How cool is this? He uprooted Israel and he has them in exile. And he says, when you go back, there's going to be portions for all the tribes and the sojourners, the one who have taken on the belief system, who are worshiping me, who are living your lifestyle alongside me, living for me with their whole heart. They get this inheritance too. Jesus wasn't the first to say this. God is saying it here, which is shocking, right? That the Pharisees were so like, whoa. And that the Pharisees, even after Jesus, when Paul was teaching, they're like, whoa, saying this is for the Gentiles. I mean, even some of Jesus' disciples were like, wait, for the Gentiles, they're not circumcised. Is that okay? Do we need to circumcise them? Like, wait a minute. But here, guys, here God's saying it. Even in this Old Testament, in this old prophet, before they came out of exile, guys, God is calling this. He's saying, give them a portion of this inheritance. It's for them too. How beautiful is that? Okay, and then verse 11 of 48 now. So we're jumping into 48. This is the dividing up of the land, which it seems like everything's going east to west. Like it's going like across the land versus before it was kind of like, odd-shaped borders, which I'm going to see if my study Bible has a picture for those who are visual. I didn't get a chance to look at that this morning. Verse 11, though. Let me find it real quick for you guys. My brain is moving slow today. It feels like a Friday. This shall be for the priest, the sons of Zadok, who kept my charge, who did not go astray when the people of Israel went astray, as the Levites did. So remember, the Levites were not getting the holiest of the holiest because of going astray and leading the people astray. Only the sons of Zadok. And I just think this is so beautiful that we don't need to take care of ourselves. We just need to focus on God and he takes care of us. This is a beautiful example of that, right? Like he just had his eyes, the sons of Zadok had their eyes so set and steadfast on the Lord. And they didn't worry about themselves, that they weren't looking like everyone else, or that people maybe made fun of them, or that they were maybe outcasts, or that people were probably angry with them for making them feel condemned. Like, your holiness is making me feel uncomfortable and making me feel guilty, and I don't like it, right? There's probably some of those feels going on, right? And we see those feels today, right? Is some people don't like when I go out, I don't drink, and it's just what I choose to do. I don't see a reason to, and many times in scripture it says it's not for the kings, it's not for those who are these leaders. Alcohol's not for you. It's not for you because you got to be on point. And so I don't drink, and sometimes that makes people uncomfortable. They're like, well, now I feel kind of judged and condemned. Well, that's on you. Like I should be able to do what I feel convicted, what I feel led to do without making someone else feel bad. So you see this still common today, right? That same thing. But look at, they were so steadfast on God that God gives them the best of the best. He doesn't just give them a portion. He gives them the best portion right outside the temple. That's what he reserves for them. God takes care of us. We don't need to worry about ourselves. We need to just worry about God and what he's directing us to, which is always outward serving, knowing that he is going to fill all the needs. That's where our mind should be. Okay, and then 15 through 20, we see this awesome piece here where it's this land that's kind of designated as common land. And it says the workers of the city, they'll all work it and it will be food for all of them. What we see here, guys, is a community garden. So this is also new. So before it was just the 12 tribes, and now we see the sojourners, the ones who are living among them and who have adopted the faith and who love God and who are after God. We see that they get an inheritance. And now we see God set apart land as a community garden. Everyone, the community will work it and the community will benefit from it. It is a shared space. I love that. He makes space for this community for all of the tribes. It says all the tribes of Israel will work this. So everybody, it is a space that they're all going to come and work together. Because guys, when we share in labor, it creates this bond, right? A family that works together and serves together, it creates this strong bond between each other, this relationship. Your small groups, if you go out and you serve and you work together, or when you go on a missions trip, when you're with that group, working hard together, right? You grow this like deep bond, right? This deep bond is together on this mission. And so God provides a space for it. He sees that community is important. And so he puts it in the inheritance. He makes it a space that is there. So being in community, which also just off my head came to mind, the book True Communities by Jerry Bridges is fantastic. It talks about the biblical view we get of what true community looks like, of what being in a community, living in a community is, and the importance of it, because so often we get so busy that we're kind of just bebopping around and serving, and we're forgetting that there's actually this order of community that's supposed to be around that. And so that's a really great book, by the way, if you're looking for, if that interests you. Okay, the other thing in 48, my last thing in 48 here is verse 30 through 35. God gives him this border of these city gates. So he brings them out and he shows them this border, and they like measure this border, and God calls it, the Lord is there. So he doesn't call the city Jerusalem. He calls it, the Lord is there. He's declaring it. He's declaring that he is at the center and he is dwelling there, not just in the temple, but the city. The whole city, he's declaring the Lord is there. How cool is that? That the presence of God is in that very, very name, because that is how he wants their mindset to be set up, that it is him at the center of the whole city. How beautiful. All right, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.